Society tells men that no one should die alone. When the house gets too quiet after a divorce or a funeral, they tell you to get back out there, to find a companion, to find a new wife, to enjoy your golden years. They paint a beautiful picture of two seniors holding hands on a park bench. But is finding love at the twilight of your life a cure for loneliness? Or is it the ultimate trap? Is it romance? Or is it just the ego's desperate attempt to run away from the silence? Today, we sit down with James. He is 76 years old, and the brutal truth he's about to share might make you rethink everything you know about aging, dignity, and the heavy price of a quiet house. Listen closely.
I am 76 years old. I buried my wife a decade ago, and I spent the last 5 years desperately trying to replace her, trying to find a girlfriend to warm up a house that had grown entirely too cold. And I'm going to tell you the brutal truth that your kids, modern society, and those well-paid therapists will never tell you. They push you to get back out there. They tell you, you deserve to be happy, or don't spend your remaining years in isolation. They are lying to you. I remember sitting in a brightly lit, overly crowded steakhouse, wearing an old suit that felt like a straitjacket, sitting across from a woman whose last name I didn't even care to remember. I watched the ice in my glass slowly melt, watering down a 20-year-old whiskey. I could hear the meaningless chatter, and in that loud room, I had never felt more completely, utterly pathetic. My hands were shaking, not from the arthritis, but from the sickening realization of what I had reduced myself to, a beggar looking for scraps of affection from a stranger. Do not scroll away from this video, because I am about to tell you exactly why. Looking for love after 60 is the most ruthless, devastating trap a man can set for himself. It is the exact reason why so many good men like you, lose their final shreds of dignity, their hard-earned peace, and the legacy they spent a lifetime building right at the very end. My wife's name was Sarah. We were married for 42 years. And to understand why you are making a fatal mistake today, you have to understand what a real foundation looks like. I met her in 1971. We didn't have a damn thing. I remember a freezing night in '74. My beat-up Ford broke down on Interstate 94 in the middle of a blizzard. No cell phones, no roadside assistance, just the bitter cold and the smell of leaked gasoline. She didn't scream. She didn't complain about what I couldn't provide. She just took off her woolen gloves, grabbed my freezing, grease-stained hands, and held them against her chest. That kind of bond, it is forged in fire and ice. It is built when you are nobodies, fighting the world back to back. You cannot buy that history. But here is the cruelty of being a man. We are so obsessed with building the roof. We forget to look at the woman holding up the walls. I am haunted by a Tuesday evening in 1989. I was buried in paperwork, trying to save my business. Sarah walked into the study. She had made my favorite, black coffee and a slice of pecan pie. I didn't even look up. I didn't see the fatigue in her eyes. I just waved my hand and muttered, "Just set it down. I'm busy." Just set it down. God, I wish I could tear those words out of my throat. I heard her soft sigh. I heard the familiar creak of her slippers walking away down the hallway, step by step, fading into the dark. When your wife dies, gentlemen, you don't just lose a companion. You lose the only witness to your life, the only person who knew exactly what that old Ford smelled like, the only one who knew the exact rhythm of your heartbeat when you were terrified, and you actually delude yourself into thinking that you can replace 40 years of shared scars and unsaid apologies with a stranger you met on the internet. A few months ago, my daughter, of course, set up a dating profile for me on one of those apps for seniors, Silver Singles or some nonsense like that. I sat in this very chair. The house was dead quiet, just the low mechanical hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. I stared at the glowing screen, swiping through faces of women who had their own lifetimes of baggage, their own ghosts. I went on 3 dates. 3. And let me tell you exactly what modern romance looks like when you have one foot in the grave. It is not poetry. It is not a second spring. It is a business transaction, an interview for a survivor's pension. They don't ask what your favorite song is. They don't care what your dreams were when you were 20. They look at the watch on your wrist. They casually ask if you own your home outright or if the bank still has it. They want to know your medical history. They probe to see if you have a bad heart or failing kidneys, because God forbid they have to become an unpaid nursemaid a year into the deal. They are looking for a financial safety net to catch them in their final years. And what was I doing? I was no better. Let's be brutally honest. I wasn't looking for a soulmate. I was looking for a warm body to sit on the other end of the couch, just so I wouldn't have to hear the agonizing ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway. I came home from that 3rd date. I took off my heavy wool coat. The house was exactly as freezing, exactly as empty as when I left it. I poured a glass of tap water. I looked at my phone, a text message from the woman I just spent 2 hours with. It read, "It was nice meeting you, James. By the way, what kind of Medicare supplement plan do you have? What kind of Medicare plan do you have?" I dropped the phone on the counter. The screen cracked. I didn't care. I stood there in the dark kitchen, gripping the edge of the counter until my knuckles turned white. I listened to the silence of my own home. And you know what that silence was doing? It was mocking me. It was whispering, "You pathetic coward. You survived a war. You built a business from the dirt. You buried the love of your life. And now you are terrified of your own shadow." Let's talk about the male ego. We are a fascinating, tragic breed, aren't we? A man can storm a beach under heavy gunfire. He can build a skyscraper out of steel and glass. He can run a corporation, manage 100 employees, and tear apart an engine with his bare hands. But put that same man in a quiet living room, alone with his own thoughts, and he will absolutely lose his mind. Why? Because our entire lives, our value has been defined by what we provide, what we conquer, and who is watching us do it. When you retire and when you bury your wife, the audience leaves the theater, the lights go out, and your ego, that fragile, greedy little thing, starts suffocating in the dark. You convince yourself you are looking for love. You are not. You don't want a girlfriend at 68 or 75. You want a witness. You want someone, anyone, to look at you and validate that you are still here, that you are still relevant, that you aren't just an old ghost waiting for the clock to run out. You are terrified of your own mortality, and you are using a stranger's company as a cheap painkiller. But here is the harsh reality that most men realize too late. By desperately clinging to these late-in-life romances, these forced transactional companionships, you are stripping away your own dignity. You think you are proving your vitality, but I promise you, your children are watching. They don't say it to your face, but they see the man who raised them, the man who was once their hero, reducing himself to a needy, desperate old fool who can't bear his own company. They watch you spend your hard-earned legacy on someone who doesn't know your history, who wasn't there in the trenches with you. It is a profound disrespect to the memory of the woman who actually helped you build it. Loneliness is not a disease you need to cure with a dating app. Loneliness is the final crucible of manhood. It is the ultimate test. Can you sit in the silence? Can you look in the mirror and be enough for yourself? Or are you so hollow inside that you need to buy a stranger's time just to feel a heartbeat in the house? A boy runs away from the dark. A man, a true man who has lived a full life, learns to sit in the dark, pour a glass of whiskey, and make peace with his own ghosts. So, what do you do now? How do you survive the quiet without losing your soul? It starts by making a choice today, right now. First, take out your phone and delete those damn dating apps. Cancel the blind dates your well-meaning sister keeps setting up. Stop treating the final chapters of your life like a desperate audition for a role you don't even want. Second, go back to what made you a man in the first place. Go out to your garage, pick up your tools, restore that '68 Mustang you've been talking about for a decade, build a dining table for your daughter, get sawdust on your clothes and grease under your fingernails, reconnect with the man who creates, not the beggar who pleads. Third, invest in your blood. Call your grandchildren. Don't just send them a check on their birthdays and call it a day. Take them out on a Saturday morning. Teach them how to bait a hook, how to change a tire, how to throw a spiral. Pour your remaining time, your wisdom, and your money into the legacy you actually built, not into a stranger who is just looking for a comfortable retirement plan. Be a patriarch, not a sugar daddy. And tomorrow morning, I want you to wake up early. Brew a strong pot of black coffee. Sit at your kitchen table. Do not turn on the television news to drown out the quiet. Just sit there and listen to the silence. Let it wash over you. It will hurt at first. It will burn. But I promise you, eventually, the burning stops, and what is left is absolute clarity. You have fought your wars, gentlemen. You have paid your dues. You loved a good woman, and you laid her to rest. You do not owe the world or your ego another performance. The ultimate freedom of a man's life is realizing that a quiet house is not a tomb. It is a sanctuary. Enjoy the peace. You earned it.
James is right. As men, we spend our entire lives running from failure, running from weakness, and ultimately, running from the silence. Society will gladly sell you the illusion of a second youth, but true strength isn't found in a crowded room or a forced late-in-life romance. It is found when you can sit alone in the dark and finally be at peace with the man staring back at you in the mirror. Here at DuskMan, we don't deal in comfort, we deal in truth. The raw, unfiltered truth that builds resilient men. If you are ready to stop running, if you are ready to face the heavy chapters of manhood with dignity, subscribe to the channel. Tell us in the comments below. Have you ever tried to outrun your own loneliness? Until next time, gentlemen, embrace the quiet.